Today I would like to talk about how to scale your practice, how to grow your business to whatever income you want it to be. Multiple seven figures, whatever you want it to be while working less hours. And there's the key, because doctors, you're working harder than ever. You're trying to, see as many patients as possible. Then having problems with insurance companies not reimbursing you either proper fees, or sometimes giving you a hard time to collect at all. They just deny claims left and right. I know about that because for 34 years, I ran my own practice, grew it to 2 offices, 5 other associates, and I never worked for anyone. But things changed since 1989 when I first bought my practice. And today, in a way, it's getting worse. And it's never been ideal. So don't ever think if you're young, a new practitioner, that at one time it was fantastic. There were better times for sure, but the key to running a business, and this is very important, is that to treat it like a game. Someone taught me a long time ago that life is really a game. Your practice and running a business is a game. There always is a new game. Today it might be a wound grafts where they're reimbursing you pretty well. One time it could have been shockwave therapy, where insurance companies for a short period of time were paying for that. Whatever goes on, they change the game, and you have to change the game too. You have to be on top of things, and that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, where you just love going in and solving problems, building a company, any company. I don't care if it's a restaurant business, your practice, building skyscrapers, whatever your business is, there's always some situation, some regulation, something that's getting in the way of running the business like you used to. For us, it's insurance companies reimbursing us way too little and fighting for our money, and that has to stop. So I want to tell you that it is possible to scale your business, make more money and work less. And it really starts off with your mindset. If your mind is not right and you have a belief system that says this is not possible, you're right, it's not going to happen. So like I said, it starts with your mindset. You need to wake up every single day with a passion of growing a business, wanting to come to work, loving your job, because if you don't, you're bringing that attitude into your practice, which then affects your employees, which then in turn will affect your patients, because they're an extension of you. They need to feel comfortable, relaxed, smiling all the time, greeting the patients and responding to their issues and concerns and making them feel better. So again, it starts with your mindset. And so how do you have a great mindset when you're working so hard? You've seen 30, 40 patients a day, sometimes even more. And guess what? You come back, you look at your EOBs, and you know what? You worked for nothing that day. And then, so how can you be passionate? And this is a concept of be, do, have. In order to have a thriving practice where you are growing it and making money and being profitable, in order for you to have the life that you want, in order for that to happen, in order to have that, you have to be it. You have to be passionate. You have to be thinking that this is all possible, and put yourself in the future. And every day you think about the present is really the future you, and smile and be the person. Have the energy and the vibration that you're going to pass on to your team that's going to produce this. So I like to say you need to know that you know. You know that you know. You know that this is going to happen. And how do you know? Because maybe it's not happening to you yet, but you know people that they're having a great life and a great practice. And you can say that you know more people who have practices that are not like that, sure. But if you know someone or 2 people that have great practices, then why not you? So you have to be it. Then you have to act it and do it. Do the work that's required in order to have it. The same thing like going to medical school. We were 3rd-year students, and we were in the clinic and pretending to be doctors. We had a white coat on, and even at the short version, we were in the clinic, and you'd be introduced maybe as student doctor, but the patient looked at us as a doctor. So we had to be the doctor before having the degree of doctor. And remember, that's another important concept, be, do, have. So when I say to have a practice that you really want, to have more money and more time, I work on systems and the 3 pyramids of success for building a business. And that is really starts off with your systems and your metrics, your KPIs, key performance indicators, your mindset, which we've touched upon briefly, and leadership skills. Let's think about the problems that you have right now. Maybe you have systems, Maybe you have a way to answer the phone, the way to collect money, the way you do everything in your business, but it's not written down. And then you have to hire a new person. That person makes the same mistakes as the person before her or him. And if you had a system that's written down, that's a system that is now a manual that's trainable, you can train someone with these systems, then it's duplicatable. Then everything is the same. If you have more than one office, both offices work the same exact way. Each staff person really understands their purpose, their function. They also know how to measure if they are succeeding. That's your, as I said, your KPIs. But in order to keep your team, in order to have a team that succeeds, that you can delegate things to and feel comfortable doing that, so you don't have to do everything yourself, that is then called leadership. And most coaches who coach doctors or any other coach really talk about in business systems, and they talk about having a good staff. But the one thing I found that people are missing, that is the change, which is why I became a leadership coach. Because everything else, I can give you my office manual, I could tell you this is how you should do, this is how you should answer the phone, this is how you train people, without getting people to do the things they need to do to succeed, not only for the practice, but for them to be successful. In order for them to come to work and want to, love their work, and knowing that they don't want to really go anywhere else, and they're compensated fairly, treated fairly, their voices are heard. That is leadership. And I would say over 95% of doctors don't understand that. They expect them to do a job, come to work, do what they're supposed to do. This is how you do it, now go do it. And they have improper training, they have poor communication skills. And if you can just develop this one thing, and that is leadership skills, you'll have a team that will stay with you, fight for you. And that's what they did when I was going through a terrible divorce. It's not always my best self. And that office ran with or without me. They built me up. They were there for. They watched my back. They were just a great, amazing team. And I was going through financial issues because of it, and sometimes I couldn't actually pay them. There were a couple times where I had to tell them to hold their checks for a few days. And you know what? They did. That was like when I knew that things are pretty damn amazing. That I had the team that really cared about me and cared about the practice, and they knew that they trusted me. They knew that I was going to come out on the other end just okay, to be more than okay. And they were right. And that's because I was able to trust them. I listened to them, I heard them. I got them involved in the growth of the organization. They weren't there just for a job. They were there to help me, to help all of us work together, build something bigger than we thought possible. And that's what you need in order to have that kind of practice. Because then you'll have the time to look at your KPIs, and they do the KPIs, by the way. Doctors are doing way too much, extremely too much. You're just trying to get things done. You have this big list, it never gets done. You see patient after patient after patient. We're talking about, like I said, 30, 40 patients in a day, and you're doing this 4 days a week, and then maybe one day you're actually in the operating room doing something, but you're not working on your business. How could you be a CEO of a company without knowing what's going on in the company and trying to run the business in between patients, or your lunch hour, or nights and weekends? It's impossible. You don't have the energy for that. No one does. I don't care if you're 29 or 69. It's impossible to have all that energy to really run a business. So day one, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is trust me on this. Have a Rainmaker day, a day that you're working on your business, you're getting to know your team better, becoming a better leader, doing whatever it takes to run that business better, and that's your Rainmaker day. And then you can see the patients that you want to see. You don't have to see every single patient. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't. You might be an amazing doctor, but not everyone's gonna like you, right? And that's possible. There are certain kinds of, you don't have that rapport with every single kind of personality. So what I recommend here is this, that you take your 80-20 rule, you take the 20% of the patients that bring in 80% income and make that your priority, and start eliminating the kinds of patients that are not bringing in the money, that you don't really, maybe you like the people, but that's not really causing your practice to become profitable, and it's not something you love doing anyway. So just pass that on to another practice, what have you, or don't do as much of that. whatever that may be. Have a certain time of the day or week where you see those kind of patients, but limit those number of patients, because then they're draining your energy. They are costing you money. Some of them might not even be paying the bills. The insurance companies don't pay the bills, or they don't reimburse you properly. On top of that, they are the ones who give you the biggest headache. So why do that? Come to work and enjoy everything. Know your metrics. Each one of these areas, I'm going to have a separate video on what kind of metrics you should be measuring, how to get your systems in place, and then we'll have videos, and I have videos on mindset and leadership especially. So it is possible. It starts off knowing that it is possible to have the practice that you have always dreamt of, and it's, like I said, it starts off being and acting that way, loving what you're doing, going back to the reason why you became a doctor, and then looking at your practice and seeing what you can do to improve upon it. And don't do this alone. Have weekly staff meetings and ask your team, what can we do to improve in this area of the practice? They'll tell you. They are living it day by day, and they know if they were asked, they'll tell you what they would recommend. But most of us are not asking. It's not a doctor issue. This is big business issues where they're not telling the people, they're asking the people on the lower levels, what do you think we should do to improve this area that you're working in? And they'll be more than glad to tell you, and then implement some of these ideas. Work together as a team. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here, and then we're going to have more videos on diving a little bit deeper on this. If you like this video, just press that bell, follow me. There'll be more videos. Like I said, I coach all kinds of physicians, healthcare practitioners to do what I just said, to scale their practice, work less hours. And if you want to get in touch with me, do so at drwishnie@gmail.com, or go to my website, peterwishnie.com, and I'll speak with you. Stay focused, my friends.